Why can't I get planing, and why can't I get in the foot straps without losing control, catapulting, or whatever else might be going wrong? These are the classic cries for help that I get from intermediate students progressing with the sport, loving what's going on. You kind of hit that frustrating plateau, can't find the answers to your questions. Today you will. Now, with coaching sessions from pretty much beginner all the way to advanced and everyone in between, everyone wants to know about technique. What am I doing with my head, shoulders, knees, toes, sail position, body position, stance, all of that stuff, thinking that's the problem, that's what's going to help me out. Whereas actually in today's video, I'm going to go through 5 other areas that could be the fault, could be the problem, could be the reason that I'm not planing right now, or maybe if I give it a bit of a push, yeah, I'm sort of planing. Actually, I am planing now, but why are you not? It might not be just the technique that we're thinking about. Now, I'm going to use a very simple-ish acronym to help us remember these other 5 areas before we get to technique. Because, of course, there is importance in technique. I'm not writing that out completely. I'm just saying there could be other things going wrong. So the acronym I'm going to use is TP. TTPPEE, but the other way around. So we start with the E's, finishing with one of the T's, which is our technique. Now, the first E that we can think about is the environment. Am I in a suitable environment to get plating, to get in the foot straps? And the simplest thought on that to start with is it windy enough, or is it too windy? Is it flat enough, or is it really choppy, making it very difficult? Are there lots of people around, making it very difficult to actually get under control without getting a bit scared? We're going to come to that in a moment. Or have I got a quiet bit of space where I can actually concentrate and do my own thing? Is it very gusty? It's a gusty area like it is here. This is a very gusty bay, Vassiliki here in Vassiliki. Very gusty, very difficult to windsurf in a lot of the time because it's so on and off. It's not easy. Here's a bit of wind, there's an extra little gust that's hit me. Now I can start to get planing. Before that point, I couldn't. Actually, it's about to get even windier, making it a bit easier to get planing. Now, the difficulty is you can't always change your environment, but we could realize what's going on with the environment before we just start being really harsh on ourselves. Maybe it's not our fault. Or, and here in Vassiliki is a great example, within the environment we've got here, I can windsurf out to sea by 3 or 4 kilometers within our sailing area, and I can go up and down wind by about 1 kilometer before I hit the ferry down there or the mountain behind me where there's no wind. If I want a flatter area and less people, I'm going upwind hard. Now, you don't have to be on the plane while you do this, but I'm going to try and get upwind because the water is so much flatter up there. I launched in the middle of the bay and I'm still amongst pretty choppy, bouncy water just now. So I'm trying to get higher upwind. I may not be able to affect the gusts, I can't stop it being a gusty day, but can I read the gusts? Am I aware when those gusts are going to hit me? And that's why in so many of these videos I'm talking about vision. It's not just look where you're going, because that fixes your stance and fixes other things. It's reading the wind up and to windward of me. Now, the same sort of environment and the same TP acronym to figure out what's going wrong could also come in other levels of our windsurfing. Maybe you're not planing out of your calf jibe. You're watching this video because hopefully you like what I do, but you want to take something away from that. Perhaps you're trying your calf jibe in a lull and you need to be trying it in the gust. If you go in with more wind, you're more likely to be coming out with more wind and more speed as a result, of course. I'm making my way upwind. It's definitely getting a bit flatter. Lovely. The next E is your equipment. Now, that's the choice of your equipment as well as the setup of your equipment. For example, right now, and I've done this deliberately, I know my equipment isn't set up properly. And by that, I mean my harness lines are far too far forward and I'm having to pull my back arm hard to get any power to really kick in. Smallest little movements. And while I do this, I've done other videos where I dive in even more about setting your harness lines, and the short story of just getting them further back is usually my answer. Get them further back and get them no more than 4 fingers apart on the boom, that will make a massive difference to your sailing. The sail now, although I'm in a lull, there's not that much wind, the sail feels more stable, more powerful, and I can do less with my arms, or I need to do less with my arms to control the gusts and the lulls coming through. Other equipment setups or equipment choices, let's start with that one. Other equipment choices I see quite a lot is people being pressured or deciding for yourselves to take boards that are far too small for your ability. There's nothing wrong with having a larger board, a more stable platform, a more forgiving platform, something that's a lot easier to ride. That can only be a good thing. So I consider myself a reasonable windsurfer. I can tack, jibe, I can play around and do a few moves, throw some shapes. But right now I'm about to start a classic intermediate lesson, and I'm on a 119 board. It's 119 litres. Now for an intermediate, learning to get in the foot straps, this board is small. This is too small. Even for a 60 kilogram person, 119 litres, unless you're actually going in the foot strap, you don't need a board this small. Go bigger. Give yourself the best chance of success. And by bigger, I mean 140, 150, 160. Until you're actually comfortable in the straps, there's no need to start going smaller and smaller. Even if the water's a bit choppy, seeing people on 100, 120, 130 litre boards, it's so much harder to get control of. Doubling back to the environment for a second, you can see I've made my way upwind through those last 2 runs. It's a lot flatter where I now am. I'm upwind in the bay. I found a much flatter area to windsurf. So larger boards and free ride stable boards. What I mean by free ride is the board I'm on just now is a Starboard Carve, a great stable free ride board. It's fast, it planes early, it planes beautifully. Similar in the range, I've got the Starboard Go. Again, it planes very, very easily. You can get into the foot straps without getting kicked all over the place. A lot of the time though, I see people not yet comfortable in the straps trying to do it on a freestyle wave or a free race style board. So from the Starboard range, that would be a Code or a Futura. Now it's the same with coming around a carve jibe just now. This is a lovely stable platform. It's made it very easy to get around that carve jibe and maintain speed and stability. Something like a Code, a freestyle wave, yes, they turn very easily, but unless you're ready to control that turniness, that responsiveness, it possibly isn't the right board for you. Something like the Starboard Go, classic free ride stable platform of 140 to 160 litres, and you'll be living the dream into the foot straps and planing beautifully and stably, as well as getting around your carve jibes very, very nicely. Up the board literage, it's going to make things much easier for you. While I'm on the subject of boards, the foot strap position makes a huge difference as well. So still thinking equipment on the TP, right at the top of the list. Why can't I get planing? Why can't I get in the foot straps? If your foot straps are inboard and forwards, yes, it's going to be easier to get in and out of them. That can be a great thing. In fact, just yesterday, shout out to Marco from the clinic that I was doing last week, nailing the foot straps. He was in and out of both foot straps. The foot straps on 160 litre, they were actually set with 3 straps. They had a single back strap, very inboard and forward straps. Very comfortable for him to get in and out of them. He was loving it. After a few hours, he realised he was actually struggling a little bit to get back upwind. And that's because as he got more comfortable, he wanted to get more heel edge pressure on the board. And when your feet are that far in and forwards, you simply can't do that. Or I should say you can do it, but it doesn't actually do much to the board. It doesn't really turn you up much. So inboard and forwards, easier, but they do less once you really start to accelerate. It's almost a placebo. And occasionally I've used the phrase placebo foot straps, super far in and super far forward. Then of course, the further back they are, the harder they are to get in and out of, but the more, check around me, I can go heel and toe and really start to change direction through foot pressure. Back foot bringing me up, front foot steering me away, adjusting and changing. Foot straps on this board are reasonably far out, so I can do that. Still on equipment, because I think it's such a big one then. Sails. Sail choice to start with. A free ride, forgiving, stable sail is the dream for your average intermediate learning to get the board planing and stable. In the 0.7 range, that would be the ACF. Lightweight, powerful, early planing. The power delivery is smooth and soft rather than a punch of power. This sail on just now is the Spy. It's a free wave crossover sail from 0.7. Super powerful with a huge wind range, and with the slightest tune I can get it more powerful, less powerful, softer power. And that really is the key word I want to use for getting more stable in the foot straps, is you don't want a punchy delivery of power. You want the power delivery to come on and off gently and softly and coach you onto the plane. Now that's actually the same if you're trying to get round your carve jibe smoother. The number of people that come to me with a fully cammed race sail or even a two-cam race sail, and they're struggling to plane out of the jibes because the acceleration punches in so hard, it's very hard to control unless you've got the skill to do so. What I've done on the Spy just here is I've pulled on a good amount of downhaul. A lot of downhaul makes the sail softer to deliver that power. And again, looking at stereotypical classic mistakes I see, under downhauling the sail because it looks pretty on the beach makes it a lot harder to control on the water. Outhaul setting makes a big difference on the sails as well. Now, assuming you don't have a free race style batten, and by that I mean the batten that crosses the boom, that aids with stability of the sail when you've got less outhaul. I'm looking at a classic free ride sail like I'm on just now, free ride or free wave, where the battens don't cross the boom. If you don't have on enough outhaul, the sail gets creased against the boom. And I need to actually look at the window back here to figure that out, because the creasing sail against the boom feels kind of powerful. But as our aspiring windsurfers, intermediates, getting more comfortable, it feels powerful, but I'm not quite sure why I can't get going. So look at the boom, look at the window at the back of your sail. Cheers! Looking at the window at the back of the sail will tell me that the sail is creasing up against the boom and I need to pull on another centimetre. Now logically, if I pull on a centimetre, that's flattening the sail and depowering it. But that's not the case if the sail is creased against the boom. That will make the power more stable, more forgiving and easier to handle. If you decide you're stacked and you really can't hold on to the sail though, add another few centimetres and even a few more. And that will start to flatten the sail off and start to depower it. I've been using these Spies in light wind and high wind all summer long now, and the last couple of years. And the sails have a 6 to 8 centimetre range on the outhaul, which completely changes how that sail feels. 6 to 8 centimetres is a lot. That's not just a little tweak, that's realising something's not right with my outhaul, I should probably change it. And spending just a moment or two on the water, you can change these settings. It'll make a huge difference to the stability, the comfortness, and how good your session actually is. Always look out for miles. If you're on the water in Vassiliki, that's the sign. Another classic equipment, and we haven't got anywhere near technique yet. Classic one on equipment is getting your boom up high enough. If you want to get the board to plane earlier, if you want to get more stable in the foot straps, more comfortable going along, you need your boom to be quite high. Boom height makes a huge difference to early planing, stable planing, and really getting the board to speed up and get in the foot straps. And the most common thing I see about the boom height is people having it too low. Teaching lower level beginners around chest to shoulder height. Getting the board planing, getting stable, that boom needs to be higher. My boom right now is above my shoulder when I stand here. It's more like chin height. That allows me to really channel the power correctly down into the board and start to accelerate. Raise that boom an extra inch, it will change the way you sail. It also changes the outhaul setting. It's worth noting that if you are going to change your boom height, you do need to check your outhaul settings too. Sail size, of course, is a big one with equipment selection because it can be pretty scary going bigger when you're trying to get planing, but you do need enough power to actually get there. It's not uncommon that I have people that are 0.5 to a meter underpowered, wondering why they can't get planing. Now, of course, a bit of a balancing act because I want you to go big enough that you can get planing nicely, but not so big that it's cumbersome, awkward, overpowered. The key thing with that is when you start going on bigger sails, when you start to get the board planing, all good things start upwind. And I'll come back to that in a moment. Because that was environment and equipment. Let's move on to something I've just mentioned there, sort of, is the P for psychological. As in, it's pretty scary. I get you. How are we going to deal with the fear? How are we going to deal with the nerves? Be that the fear of speed, the fear of lots of people, the fear of the open sea, or maybe even fear is too strong a word, but I don't know, nerves, anxiety, everything that makes it difficult to windsurf. Especially when all you've got is a friend or an instructor shouting, "Relax!" That doesn't really help you. I mean, it would if you could do it, but it's not easy to do, is it? Easiest thing I can do to help with the psychological, the nerves or anxiety, is read the wind. Eyes up, look around you, look up and look forwards, towards the wind and ahead of you. You're walking down a street, you're probably not looking at your feet through fear of tripping over. You're looking up and taking in the view. And it's worth registering that sometimes the reason I can't get planing and do what I want to do, it's not the technique, it's just the fact that I'm, let's say, bricking it. I'm nervous, I'm frozen in position and I need to move, I know that. But dealing with the psychological elements can be pretty tough and can be a big barrier to stop us progressing. Similar line is physical. Are we actually physically ready to windsurf? By that I mean hydrated, rested, stretched. Whoops. Even wearing the correct clothes. That could come down to the equipment, could come down to a physical. Are you dressed for the occasion? You might notice I always wear a hat and sunglasses. And yes, links for them both are in the description. But that helps me stay physically ready on the water without getting too done in by the sun after long sessions. Is there an injury? Is there something that's physically stopping us progressing? Shoulders, hips, knees? If that's the case, then me as the coach need to know that so that I can adapt our challenge, adapt our task accordingly. Sometimes it just gets to the point when you are knackered and dehydrated, and actually all it takes isn't someone constantly hammering technique and concentrating on the technique. You just need to take 5. A quick break, quick sugar kick or a cheeky croissant and come back onto the water. The first T before technique then is tactics. Tactically, what am I doing to make things easier? And I said I'd come back to it. That's where the t-shirt idea comes in of all good things start upwind. I'm not telling you what to do with your hands, your feet, your body. I'm just saying start high, stabilize, and then you can add whatever technique you're trying to do onto it. Tactical choices of trying to get going in a gust or a lull or whichever wind condition is suitable. It links to the environment, but it's the tactical decision of when you try and get going. Right now I feel a bit of a gust. I could try and get going, but actually tactically if I do that, maybe I'm just losing ground. So I'll kind of decided it's not enough of a gust. I'll stay higher a little bit longer. There's the gust a bit more, and now I'll think about actually accelerating with it. That's the tactical thought of when to go. Much like I mentioned earlier on the carve jibe, trying to exit your carve jibe on the plane, you need enough speed and enough wind on the entrance. Right now I'm doing it in a lull. There's no way I'm going to come out on the plane. Not a chance. I haven't done anything technically wrong, but all the other ones up until now, I entered in a gust. The tactical decision of when to go or not go, you can make your mind up with that one. I suppose it's kind of a tactical game of where your environment is as well. I said about moving around the bay, tactically moving to the right environment. Possibly that's a different beach. Possibly you're in the wrong place. The environment's wrong, or tactically I've gone, that's a bad decision, I'm in the wrong place. An easy sports analogy for that would be a less good ball sports team could beat a better ball sports team if they played the field, if they moved the ball around correctly. They might not be as good as kicking, hitting or passing, but they're tactically playing the field very well and they can still win the sports game. Generic sports analogy that I hope makes sense for you. It's a nice change, me not doing a car analogy, I think. The car analogy, I suppose, would be, going to come back to it for some reason. The car analogy would be you're learning how to drive, you're learning clutch control. That's very similar to what we're doing just now. The easiest place to learn clutch control to start with would be pointing slightly downhill. It's a bit of a cheat, builds the confidence, gets you to understand clutch and power. Then you'd start trying to do it along the flat, and then you'd start trying to work out that biting point, starting to go uphill. So how can we make it easier for ourselves tactically? With windsurfing, it's kind of the reverse. I want you to start upwind. If you just start on a broad reach downwind and try and get plating, yes, you'll accelerate, but you'll have zero control, zero stability, and pretty little chance of getting back into the foot straps. Start high. Start upwind. E, equipment, environment, physical, psychological, and tactical. And if all those things are correct, then I might start saying things about technique. Then I might start saying, brilliant, it's time to move our hands, move our hips, move our feet. Do this with your body. Drop lower, stand taller, whatever it might be. But a lot of the time when I'm with students out here or anywhere, let's have a look at the other things first, and it really does transform what you're doing. Thanks as always for joining me here on the Ride Along channel in Vassiliki. Do remember, links to everything I'm using is in the description below. Hit that little like and subscribe button down below. And if you are coming out here to Vass, come and chat to me. I'll see you on the water very, very soon.